The Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off a 9-8 season under Kenny Pickett and just barely missed the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. Coming into the offseason, the Steelers had a lot of work to do in order to cement themselves as one of the best teams in the AFC once again. With Kenny Pickett getting another year of development and the offseason going the way it's going for Pittsburgh, I believe that the Steelers can shock the world next season. Now, in this video, I'll be breaking down everything that the Steelers have done this offseason and what they need to do next in order to improve and potentially make some noise in 2023. However, before we jump into the video, make sure you guys smash that like button. It helps out the channel so much you don't even understand. Let's see if we can get the video up to 400 likes. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Steelers and the rest of the NFL all year long, so join the family. And one last thing, comment down below, who do you believe is the most underrated player on this Steelers team right now? And without any further ado, let's jump right into today's video. But before we deep dive into every signing that the Steelers have made, let's quickly take a look back at 2022 and see where the Steelers ranked compared to the rest of the NFL, just so we can get a better understanding of where they need to improve the most, or where they needed to improve most coming into the offseason. Now, firstly, let's take a look at their offensive numbers in 2022. The Steelers actually struggled a ton last season, ranking number 26 in points per game, number 23 in yards per game, number 22 in red zone scoring, number 28 in touchdowns per game, but ranked very good when it came to conversions. Number 7 in third down conversion percentage, and number 3 in fourth down conversion percentage. Overall, we knew right away work needed to be done to improve this offense. However, we also know that hopefully another full offseason with Kenny at quarterback with the keys to the franchise in his hands will only help improve the team's chemistry overall and just help them unite as a group. But now let's focus on where they needed to improve the most. The Steelers ranked number 25 in yards per rush, number 16 in rush yards per game, number 13 in rushing touchdowns per game, compared to their passing attack, which ranked number 19 in completion percentage, number 26 in yards per pass, number 24 in pass yards per game, number 17 in interception percentage, and number 14 in sack percentage. Overall, the Steelers' entire offense was very underwhelming, and something needed to be changed going forward. The good news is the Steelers have already made the right moves to make their team better in 2023, and I would say their biggest offensive need coming into the offseason was probably offensive line. The front office came out here and killed it to start free agency and did everything that they needed to do to make sure this team was going to go into the next year better than they were last season. Firstly, they brought in guard Nate Herbig. He's on a 2-year deal. They also brought in LaRaven Clark on a 1-year deal. So they brought in a guard and a backup tackle. Now, the reason why I like these moves so much for the Steelers is because they add 1, much needed depth, 2, experience at the position, and like I said, they probably won't come over here and be day one starters, but they're going to add competition. Now, the reason that I like this the most is because of this aspect, the competition aspect. Now, the best thing you can do to an offensive line is make sure your so-called starters don't think they're starters. Now, what I mean by this is when you have a lot of guys competing for the starting job, it makes everyone work harder, play harder, and just compete at a higher level because they want to be the best guy at the position. Compared to when you have 5, bona fide starters, they won't compete as hard in practice and minicamp and training camp because they know that nobody behind them can compete for that starting job. So what this allows is some guys to come in here, they're going to add depth and more competitiveness to this roster, making every single person on this offensive line play harder, more physical, and just play to their absolute true potential, which is why I love this so much. Now, the biggest splash offensively that the Steelers made was signing former Philadelphia Eagles guard Isaac Simalo. Now, I don't know if I said that right, but they brought him in on a 3-year deal. And the reason this is a massive addition is because he's going to come in here and actually be a day one starter for this team going forward. Last season, the Steelers' offensive line ranked number 16 overall, which was actually a pretty big upgrade, compared to the previous season. But now they're only getting better. They're adding more physicality and more depth to the position, which I think is going to be a major upgrade in 2023, and overall can take this offense to a whole new leap and bound from last season. I truly believe that the Steelers have made the perfect moves in order to cement themselves as having a top-tier offensive line next season, which won't only help the passing attack, but it's also going to help Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren as well get some run game going. Overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is looking very solid right now, and I'm excited to see the growth from not only Kenny Pickett, but the entire offensive line and some of the skill players as well. Personally, I think Calvin Austin is about to have a crazy season in 2023. I know he didn't play at all last year, but I think Calvin Austin has the potential, the speed, and just the instinct overall, the playmaking ability to make a difference on this offense. Look for him and George Pickens to absolutely break out next season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, with that being said, there's still a lot of work to be done to this offense as we head to the NFL draft. And if you want to find out what I think the Steelers need to do next, make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video. I'll tell you guys my opinion on what they need to do next in order to make some noise in 2023. Now, before we jump into the defensive side of the ball, make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're enjoying the video so far, I will be covering the entire NFL offseason, which includes the rest of free agency, the draft, any trades that happen, whatever happens in the NFL, I got you guys covered. So make sure you guys join the family, subscribe if you're new, if you haven't already done so. Now let's get into the defense. Now, defensively, the Steelers were actually very solid last season, as well as, we kind of knew coming into the offseason that the defense could drastically change with some big names leaving in free agency, especially guys like Devin Bush, Terrell Edmunds, Miles Jack, and Cameron Sutton, and also a few others left as well. But we knew right from day one the Steelers had some holes to fill. Now, like we did the offense, let's quickly, break down some of their rankings compared to the rest of the league. The Steelers ranked number 10 in points allowed per game, number 11 in yards allowed per game, number 20 in yards allowed per play, number 16 in third down conversion percentage, number 26 in fourth down conversion percentage, number 16 in red zone scoring percentage, and number 9 in touchdowns allowed per game. Overall, not terrible, but again, still some areas that need to be addressed. With that being said, let's take a deeper look and see where the team needed to improve mostly on the defensive side of the ball. Pittsburgh ranked number 9 in rush yards allowed per carry, number 9 in rush yards allowed per game, and number 1 in rushing touchdowns allowed per game. Obviously, their run defense was not the issue. Now, compare that to their passing defense, which was ranking number 7 in completion percentage allowed, number 26 in pass yards allowed per attempt, number 19 in pass yards allowed per game, number 1 in interception percentage, and number 14 in sack percentage. Overall, not too bad, and I feel like a couple of additions could really turn this defense into a top 5, top 3 defense in the entire NFL. And let's not forget, the offense struggling last year caused the defense to be out on the field a little bit more. So once the offense starts to get a little bit better here with Kenny Pickett, I think the defensive numbers will only rise as well. Now, in my opinion, this Steelers team seemed to be just shy of getting over the hump last season, and they came out here and made some big changes to their defense, which will completely change the dynamic and make them so much more versatile defensively. And as we all know, the Steelers lost Cameron Sutton to the Lions and needed to, address the corner position. And they added, in my opinion, a perfect one. Now, the Steelers' first move was signing defensive back Patrick Peterson to a 2-year deal. And I know what you guys might be thinking, that he's too old or maybe unproductive at this point of his career. Well, I would say you're sort of wrong. Yes, he is old, but he's actually coming off a huge year in 2022 where he tallied up 66 tackles, 56 solo, 5 interceptions, and 15 passes defended as well. Patrick Peterson will come in right away and add experience, depth, a locker room leader, and an overall dog at the position for the Steelers. Next, the Steelers had a massive hole in the middle of their defense, cutting Miles Jack and losing Devin Bush to the Seattle Seahawks, but the Steelers didn't panic. I actually believe that they got better adding 2 linebackers. Firstly, they brought in former Commander Cole Holcomb, who was a little bit injured last season. I believe he only played in about 7 games overall, but he should be ready to go for 2023. Now, Cole is still a young linebacker, 26 years old, and is only getting better as time goes on. Now, he's going into his 5th year. He's already rallied up 388 tackles, 239 solo, 4.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions. The Steelers also added former Miami Dolphin linebacker Landon Roberts. As well, he's going to come in here and be a day 1 starter for the Steelers going forward. Both him and Cole are getting multi-year deals. Now, Cole is going to be a 3-year deal, and Landon Roberts is getting a 2-year deal. Now, Landon is coming off a career year as well, putting up a career high 107 tackles, 68 solo, and a career high 4.5 sacks in 2022. Both these guys are very versatile and will bring a different type of dynamic to this middle level of this defense. And I actually really like these 2 additions compared to what they had last season. Again, the Steelers still decided they wanted more talent on this defense, bringing in former Pro Bowler Keanu Neal. Now, the thing I love about Keanu Neal is he's also very versatile, can play multiple positions, and just, you're going to see him all over the defense. Now, look for him to come in and play a little bit of strong safety, but he can also come in and play some linebacker as well. And the good thing about him is he can cover tight ends and even in some cases cover some wide receivers. So he's going to be moved all around this defense, is going to be used as kind of like a Swiss Army knife, if you would say that. But over his 7-year career, he's routed up 473 tackles, 328 solo, 8 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions. Lastly, they signed defensive lineman Brandon Fehoko, who will overall just add more depth to the defensive line. The former Charger had 36 tackles, 15 solo, and 5 stuffs over his 2-year career in LA. Definitely a low-risk, high-reward add there for the Steelers, which I do like. Listen, not going to be, a big-name sign, not going to be anything crazy, but I do like the addition. I do think he can come in here and just, add some overall depth to the team. Now, with that being said, there's still a lot of time before the start of minicamp and training camp, and the job isn't finished just yet. The Steelers still need to improve in some areas, and in terms of what they need to do next is add some wide receiver depth. I love their top 3 guys, but after that, it gets a little bit, iffy. You got Cody White, you got Anthony Miller, Gunner, Jamarcus Bradley, Dez Fitzpatrick, Dan Chisena. So, listen, there's some guys I like. I love the top 3, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Calvin Austin. Those guys are going to be absolute ballers next year. But after that, I'm just not too sure if they have anyone that I really, really trust to be a number 4 wide receiver for this team. So I would love for them to go out and bring another wide receiver in. I also wouldn't mind them going out and bringing in maybe a tight end late in the draft. Not an early pick by any means. Late in the draft, you've got Pat Freiermuth, who I love. He's going to be amazing. I also like Zach Gentry and Connor Hayward as well. You also got Ronnie Williams, but I do think maybe just adding one more tight end, it can't hurt. Listen, this is a deep tight end class, so maybe finding a gem late in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, it wouldn't be a bad thing at all. So it could overall just help out this offense. But defensively, I think a big need for them is nose tackle. Listen, they got Montravius Adams and Rennell Wren, which I think they're good. Montravius Adams, the former Auburn Tiger, who, listen, I'm an Auburn fan. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good nose tackle, but I think they can just get a little bit more deeper in that position. So I think that's another position of need. And also secondary. You got Patrick Peterson, you got Levi Wallace, you got Arthur Mallette, you got Duke Dawson, James Pierre, Akello Witherspoon, who I really like. But I do think adding a little bit more depth here in the cornerback room is probably their next biggest need. And then maybe at the safety position, they have a lot of depth. You got DeMonte Casey, who they re-signed, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's amazing. You got Keanu Neal, Trey Norwood. So I think the safety position is good, but adding a little bit more depth at corner and maybe outside linebacker as well. You got Alex Highsmith, you got TJ Watt. After that, you got Quincy Roche and Jameer Jones. But I do think maybe a little bit more depth at that position could be good as well. So listen, there's still a lot of needs for this team going forward, and I don't think they're anywhere near done yet. Obviously, left tackle. They only have 1 left tackle on the roster right now, so left tackle is a need. Maybe center, you can get a 3rd option. Right tackle, you can get maybe some more depth. So there's definitely some positions of need. Let me know in the comment section down below who is someone you want the Steelers to target in the 2023 NFL Draft. And let me know who you guys think will absolutely break out in 2023 for the Steelers. Subscribe, smash that like button, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.